There was always a lot of legs and lower
Yeah,
body.
It's like if my jeans don't look great, it's just not. What am I doing?
Right.
All right.
Sorry, hold on, Nosy. Okay.
Yeah, it's time to see time of year. It's cold out. Okay, all right.
Yep.
Okay. Hello and welcome to another episode of Between the Studs, and we are back with another Lego Masters recap discussion, and we've got the host Mark, Randy, and Daniel, who were absent the past two, so they're back again to talk more Lego Masters. It's good to rotate out our friends.
Yes.
So, so this was the mini golf episode. So
Yep.
what was it? It was the
Mini Masters.
Lego Mini Masters.
Lego
Yeah.
Mini Masters.
Lego
Yeah,
Mini Masters.
that is a fun name. That's good.
That was great.
So, first of all, high-level thoughts. What did you think of the episode overall? Let's start with Daniel.
It was a clever prompt, a tricky one, and they didn't give you a lot of time.
No, 9 hours.
I was worried, based on the preview from last week, that the builds were not going to be very cohesive and that it was just going to kind of look like a bunch of junk scattered around on the green. But I think the teams actually embraced that pretty well and had cohesive things, even though they were lots of separate, smaller builds kind of spread around for some of them.
They seem pretty thematic despite being different pieces, right? So,
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely all tied in with the unifying theme for sure.
Nice. And then, Randy, what did you think of the episode?
I loved it. My husband and I were watching it, and he was like, "Why don't they have one of these somewhere?" And I
know.
go, "Maybe maybe Legoland somewhere is gonna start something." Cause
I know. We've actually talked about it here, too, but
Right?
it's just a lot of
Oh.
space and maintenance.
I thought it was
It's
really
been
fun.
a staple at Brickfair, Virginia, and maybe some
Yeah.
other conventions for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
loved it. I thought it was really a fun idea, and I think a lot of the teams did a really great job of making it very mini golfy.
Exactly. I think overall there was quite mostly successes with the build, which I was surprised by.
Yeah.
I thought this would be a nightmare for the contestants to build for because there's a lot of motion. You have a color sensitivity being used from the powered up line. Those are difficult things to get right under calm and normal circumstances. So doing it in 9 hours is very tolerated. But
I think this was one of the most level playing fields in terms of the quality of the builds that were produced that we've seen
Yes.
probably all season. The span, the full spectrum between the winners and the losers was very slim.
not
Yes.
that far distance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't have to do very much to be good or to be bad in this one. There was a lot of very kind of on par.
Yeah. On par.
Oh,
I didn't plan that. I just came up with that.
I'm thinking that goes to some clever challenge design because that's what the producers want. They don't want Zach and Wayne or other people to just just blow everybody out of the water, and everyone is just like, "Oops, why are we here?"
Yeah.
So now that's much more even playing field.
But as a result, you get some really historically good teams ending up in the bottom two, and some people who have been kind of mediocre ending up near the top. So
Exactly.
it definitely shakes things up if that's what they want.
I think compared to some of the previous episodes, like the Doctors ended up in the bottom a few times, and then now they did so well. And then on the other hand,
they were
Ethan
Yeah.
and Dom
last week.
won last
Right.
time, and then they ended up in the bottom two.
Ethan and Dom have been very back and forth, though.
That's true.
Yes.
I think almost every episode they've alternated between being top two and bottom two.
I think so.
I'd have to go
I
back
think
and
you're
check,
right.
but
Yeah.
it's been pretty close.
Someone in
to
the
that.
comments correct us if we're wrong, but
It feels like that.
It's
It
almost
does,
always
yeah.
been one extreme or the other.
Yeah, so fun episode. I actually, let's talk about it. I still have a few more things to say. The Will Arnett's jokes and shenanigans were really on point.
Full yes.
force.
I thought they were
Yeah.
great. What did you guys
He
think?
looked like he loved this whole challenge. Like he was a kid in a candy shop the whole time.
The
He was
great
so
outfit.
grinning, the outfit, and all
The
this
return of
stuff.
the golf cart.
Yes, the golf cart.
Because he had that in season 1 or 2. I don't know. There was one other time where he was driving around in the
He
golf
drove a forklift briefly, which is very dangerous
that's
in our
scary.
season. But
Yeah.
he likes driving stuff.
Evil Will maybe had like a mobility scooter. or
Yes,
something.
right, yeah.
It was a lot of fun. I loved it when Big Steven just picked up Will and carried him like
Yes.
he was a rag doll. It was so good.
Just fire him and scare him.
Yeah.
I don't think Will was expecting him to do it.
I think he was like-
Steven just went zoop right over the shoulder.
He was teasing him, but Big Steven is like this. He's a huge. I've met him.
Right?
He's
Yeah.
big, and he
He
didn't even
carries
hesitate. He just started walking towards him, and Will was like, "Wait, what?"
Firefighter training kicked in, and
It
he's
was
out.
great.
And he'll.
And then he said, I thought you'd be heavier.
Right.
I don't know if Will took that as a compliment
I
or...
think he did. He was like, "You're the best." So,
You gotta watch out because Will will run off with your mom in the golf cart. Just take your mom
Yeah.
right on off
Yeah.
stage.
And then Dom had the sense to say, "Oh, I think he just took your mom,
Yeah.
Liam."
Yeah, Will's your new dad now.
I was genuinely chuckling at all these jokes.
Yeah.
I think the teams had a lot of more fun interaction, razzing each other and helping each other and everything. So that was fun to see this episode too.
Yeah, for the second time, not quite in a row because we had Camp Click and Break, but Ethan and Dom and Nick and Stacy were doing similar things. They did the monkeys the first time, and then Dom yelled something across the room about, "I see you're doing a conveyor belt." It's like, oh, here we go again.
Yeah, they're a spicy bunch, season 3. Yeah. Alrighty, well now we're talking about the builds a little bit. Let's dive into those. Who do we have first on Randy's list?
I know, make a list.
I love Randy's list.
Okay, Dave and Emily, our Canadian brother and sister friends. They did the little gnome village with a part 2.
Yep, excellent build, a part 2.
I loved it.
Yes.
I really did. I loved the teeter-totter. It felt very mini golf to me. Like, I felt like it would just fit right in.
Yep.
It worked pretty much flawlessly.
Yeah.
So.
Just a couple well-designed things placed here and there. You've got the water feature. It was very natural looking. It was exactly what I would have expected.
Yep. It almost got all the way through on one hit. It just was just short on the windmill part.
Yeah.
So it was very impressively designed, and it wasn't like the most complicated or elaborate one there, but it was just well done.
Yeah.
So,
that was more on Will's putting skills, I think.
Yeah.
I think what he was doing, because almost all of them, like the ones with the ramps and stuff, he would come up short.
Yeah.
I think he was hitting softly. He didn't want to overhit in case he would break something.
Right.
He would rather underhit and take more strokes.
Yeah. Exactly. And that being said, I was talking to Chris a little bit before we started filming, and he was like, Will did actually a really good job putting in all these. Like he was pretty on point. I don't know if they actually cut it so that it looks like he did better, but from what we were watching, it looked like he was doing an excellent job, and he could have been all over the place.
Right.
So he could have been breaking stuff, and it turned out pretty well. So it kind of reminds me, I don't know if you guys have seen Australia's season 3, but Hamish was bowling at some of the builds. And he did quite well, but there was a couple he totally missed, and it hurt them in judging. So it's like if you're depending upon the hosts to play through something, then I'm glad Will did a good job overall for everybody. So I mean, there was only a few times that ramp that it was a little too slow, maybe. So
I felt like he was pretty gentle going through, but he definitely was watching. Because what was it, the construction one? I think he clipped a little bit when he was because he got excited, but it was on the way out. Yeah, and his face looked really shocked. He
turned around like, oh no!
I'm always horrified of like breaking somebody else's mock or something in a convention. People are like, can you help me move this? And I'm like, are you sure?
Yes.
There are some pretty strict rules about touching other people's creations on Lego Masters. I think it can result in disqualification.
Yeah.
Like from the entire show if you touch another person's mock. So I was shocked to see Greg help Nick and Steve. We're getting ahead of ourselves. But there was some mock touching going on because of the playthrough feature of all these.
I still like to see that stuff though, because you get the drama like with people yelling at each other about, hey, we're doing that. That's what we're doing. But you see that's all lighthearted and positive when you see that they're helping each other with things. Helping move mocks, Emily helping comfort, was it Christine? That one episode.
She's been the mom of the whole season. It's been great.
Yeah, when I did robotics in high school, they had this thing called gracious professionalism, and it was always all about helping your opponents, even though they're who you're playing against. It's better. It's more sportsmanlike to
be
help
kind.
each other.
Absolutely,
So, very cool.
That's good.
Anyway, Dave and Emily's build was great.
Yes, I liked it a lot. Yes, Steven and Steven, our firefighters. I thought of you, Mark. The whole time they were building. I wish they got more airtime. I don't feel like they got a lot of airtime in the beginning, but
they got put in the middle a little bit, and I think they could have been in the conversation for top 2, but there were several good golf courses, so it was understandable, but. I love the castle theme. I love the reference to the classic Yellow Castle. Steven, not Crash Steven, is like a old school Lego fan, and so he knows all these sets. He had the Yellow Castle as a kid, which I'm so super jealous of. But, so I really love their homage
the white
there.
Flag.
I'm pretty sure the letters on the front were actually the year of the castle. It would be 1978. Is that right? Or
hang on, I wrote it down. No, it was CCCL. Yes, CCCLXXV, which was 375, which is the number.
Okay, gotcha.
So I didn't even catch that. Oh my gosh, that's
and that's the original European set number for this set here. Actually, hold on.
Oh, look, props of it. Oh,
so, there you go.
Look at that. Look at that.
That's the one they were referencing, and I'm really happy about that. So, what'd you guys think of the build?
So. The drawbridge was nice. The portcullis worked great. I was a little worried. Portcullises are very easy to get stuck. They get a little racked sideways or something, and they don't go up and down. But worked great.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. And the flag was a fun feature.
The flag was my favorite.
I'm curious how they did that. Is there like an impact sensor or something on that one?
It could have been. I don't know if it was actually like a physical push that caused it to leverage up. I don't know.
That would transfer enough momentum. I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Anyway, good
Very
building
clever.
techniques. Yeah.
We need to, next time they come in, we have questions.
Yeah, exactly. Next time they
I'll
come
start
down
a list
from,
of questions.
Next time they're from Alberta, Canada to Georgia, a little, we'll get in touch
It's
with
just a little flight.
Yeah.
A little international flight.
airports.
It's all right.
Everything. Yeah. Anyway,
Okay.
next build.
Next, Nick and Stacy with their cat and mouse.
Ooh, so
Okay.
they seem to have some troubles.
They did, yeah. It was such a big chunk to build on the table. I was like, why was that the choice we did?
And it barely fit, too.
Barely fit.
Yeah, I got where their idea was. They wanted to build a wall because you always see, you know, Tom and Jerry and stuff. There's the little semicircle mouse hole that the mouse runs into, but that was extremely ambitious. They bit off a lot more than they could.
It's a big blue wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they put a lot of power functions in it, which can be prone to failure. Theirs worked, thank goodness.
Yeah.
But very ambitious.
Yep.
Yeah, it was. They really could have been more careful with their time.
Yeah.
They barely scraped by, and I think they survived because their power functions worked. I think the judges were actually looking for that over aesthetics in this challenge compared to last challenge.
And playability, I think, was another big factor.
Yeah.
So the fact that it might not have looked very good, like, you know, Nick was throwing those cats on there.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
so
you could
disappointed
tell.
with that.
That
I go,
was-
where did the cat and mouse play in other than the cheese?
He probably had 20 minutes or
The
less.
cheese was one of the first things they did.
Yeah.
It looked great.
Yeah.
Right.
They were not managing their time well enough, I don't think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they had barely any time to make any cats, but the functionality worked, and
Yes.
and Will was able to play through just fine.
Yeah.
And so I think that was the difference between some of the other teams that ended up.
The Plinko part was fun.
Yeah,
I thought that was a, you know,
original idea.
all of us kids that watched Wheel of Fortune when we were homesick during the day, you get to
No,
Price is Right. Price is Right. Price is
yes.
Right. Thank you.
Price is Right.
Price
That
is
was
right.
good.
You can stay home when you're sick one day, drinking your Sprite, watching the
Price
Plinko
is
board.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Bob
Bob Barker, the
Barker.
nostalgia. Yeah, Bob Barker with his little microphone, and don't forget to get your cat spayed and neutered.
Oh,
But yeah,
Yeah, Bob Barker.
yes,
Yeah, exactly.
it is the perfect pen. Oh, yeah. So it was. So that was fun, but I felt like it was very plain,
Yeah,
like aesthetically.
no time to do any
Yeah,
detail work at
no.
all.
Detail,
So
yeah.
Yeah.
that's why they ended up in the bottom two, and I think they thought they were going home.
I think they did too.
They
The looks on
very
their
much
faces.
Yeah.
edited it to seem that way. I mean,
Yes.
there were several times that they had a quote from either Nick and Stacy that was like, "I'm pretty sure we're going home," or, you know, I'm already conceded the fact that we're going home, and stuff like that. And I thought
Yeah.
it was pretty clear cut, but that's probably just because of the way that they edited it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was definitely, there was probably some editing helping that storyline, but based on Nick, he was not smiling the last half of
No.
that episode.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he was
you
very-
could tell they were not excited about what was the timing
Yeah.
that was going on. So.
Because it's always sad when you have a picture in your mind of what you want to achieve, and you can't do it.
Yeah.
You don't have
the
no
time
time.
just
you
doesn't.
didn't
oh.
present what you wanted to present, and
Yeah.
there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
I felt for them. I really did.
Yeah.
They
Oh, it's a horrible
both.
feeling.
And she's always so peppy, and she still was really positive, but you just saw it in their body
You
language,
could
and
tell,
it was
they were down, and everybody else was trying to clap for them and support them
Yeah.
at work and giving them hugs, and I was like, I mean,
Yeah.
this positivity is nice, but it seems like the kind of positivity that's like right before somebody
Yeah.
Yeah.
has to
The
go.
dramatic music.
Yes,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
And then, like, we'll talk about the results in a second, but
Yeah.
when the results were announced, they looked like shocked. At least
They did.
Stacy did. I mean, maybe that was acting a little bit. I don't know, but it looked pretty genuine. She was like
Yeah, right.
thrown off by the fact that they did not go home. So good for them for
Yeah,
surviving.
I mean, my jaw dropped. I was
Yeah.
just sitting at home on the couch this morning.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
That was also somehow what? Yeah.
It was interesting. So we'll talk about the judging results in a minute.
Yeah.
But what's the next?
Okay,
build
next
we
I
have?
have Brandon and Greg, our par 3 under construction
Mm-hmm.
themed golf. I love the crane. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was very
I liked it
clever.
a lot.
The-
And I
the big
liked all the
S-curve.
stuff. I liked all the stuff
It
out
was
there.
well
The episode
built.
was full. I thought the scene fit like their theme, but I know my husband said there was too much stuff.
Yeah.
So we were going back and forth.
A
but
little overcomplicated maybe, but everything that they did do was pretty well built. It's just that ramp was a little steep.
Yeah.
Yeah, steep ramp, and not a lot of room to stand. And that
Yeah.
playability, I think, was another thing that they were seriously considering, especially thinking about the way that the results turned out.
Yeah.
I think that playability was a much more important factor than maybe was apparent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's almost like you almost want to leave deliberate open areas for people to stand, and they might not have been considering that when they're doing all their very more elaborate mechanisms. But it's still, I think it worked quite well despite the complexity. So props to them, and I think they were totally safe.
Yeah.
So
I think them and Dave and Emily were the only ones to utilize brick bending to get those curves, which I think more people should have done. I mean, that's very satisfying in golf when you hit a ball and it follows a nice curve and goes through a kind of bending path, as opposed to hitting it and ricocheting it off of things, and that kind of screws up all your angles. And
that's definitely a mini golf trait for sure to see those curved pathways. So.
I think more teams should have been targeting feasibility of getting a hole-in-one, because who doesn't love getting a hole-in-one?
Oh, yes.
I mean, they got it on Austin and Justin's. I'm sure we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think theirs did better because they got a hole-in-one.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, they had interesting build. I think that they might still be overdoing it a little bit, because last time with the camp they went all in on the technical stuff, and that might not have been the episode to go all in on technical stuff. So they might have been warning them to be more aesthetically story-wise, but this one I think they're maybe just doing a little bit too much, trying to really get the edge on the competition. Maybe they need to simplify a little bit. Anyway.
Yeah, self-editing's hard in the middle of it.
You can get tunnel vision very easily, so I think that hopefully next time they're able to round it up. They have the golden brick. They're doing pretty good. Right. So, yeah.
I was shocked the judges didn't tell them to tone it down a little. I was waiting for them to kind of be like, are you sure you want all this stuff in there?
And we don't know where in the time slot their visitation from the judges happened. Yeah. Maybe theirs was earlier on and they couldn't really tell that was becoming a problem.
That's true.
We also didn't get to see too much of their build compared to some of the problem or success builds in this episode too. They were in the middle, so they don't get as much coverage.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is surprising. I mean, we're down to only 7 teams now, and there are still teams that you get to the end and it's like, I didn't see that at all.
Yeah.
Because they're really leaning into the ones that they want you to pay attention to, either for better or for worse.
Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting. Well, maybe I think it'll only get more and more focused on a few teams as teams get eliminated. So hopefully that problem will continue to evaporate. Anyway.
Right. Okay. Dom and Ethan, they're bricks before chicks. Sorry, their jungle theme adventure.
Single alert! Single alert! Single alert!
All I thought of is, Mark, we gotta put that on a shirt.
Hey, we might be taking that one.
Is that copyrighted?
Hashtag bricks before. It's not copyrighted. We're just spreading the good
put
word.
A little baby Lego chick on there.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, there's an Easter chick set, I'm sure.
That was hilarious. But they did their jungle temple adventure.
Yes, it was an interesting build. They seem to have a pretty strong idea, and they were headbutting with Nick and Stacy early on.
Idea,
right, yeah.
But it didn't pan out for them in the end. I think the first part was really pretty well done.
I love that part.
And it worked pretty well. I mean, it took a minute to catch on and dry it up, but that's not a problem. Once you got to the second half, which is very small, it was like shoebox size.
Yeah.
That's where things started to unravel for them, I think.
I think that the big temple probably should have been the finishing piece, and the gem probably should have been a more prominent part of that.
You know what it would have helped? 2 curves leading up to the temple.
That's
all I'm
right.
saying.
Yeah, that's right.
The temple at the end, and put some other small things in front of it.
Yeah.
Like a winding river or something that was jungle themed.
Yes.
Exactly. They could have easily
animals. You could have a tiger, some jungle creatures. I don't know.
Could have easily solved some of their logistic issues by being more Dave and Emily design. Because they had their big thing at the end and the smaller things in the front. It led up to it. It was satisfying. This was more like big and then anticlimactic at the end. So yeah.
Will did also get to demonstrate his pool key.
Oh, he did. Yes, that was great.
Very clever.
Are these house rules?
Right. Yeah. For mini golf,
I think that's why they suffered, was the playability of it. Their functions worked passably, but it was just a little tricky to get those shots off. And I think that's what they took issue with. Yeah,
and I think that their build actually looked more finished than Nick and Stacy's. It's just that I think they were leaning more into functionality and judging, because that's the result. So but good to see Dom and Ethan having a good time. They got plenty of screen time. They had very single alert moments. And what's funny is I think Ethan is single too, but they didn't call him out on that. I don't know. I could be wrong. Anyway,
his face turned so red.
Yep.
They're so embarrassed. I'm like, oh, that poor kid.
So it's all right. I'm sure his Tic Tac DMs will be
full now.
I was
gonna say. He's good now.
He'll be fine. He'll find somebody that.
All right, Austin and Justin, our doctors, they did the piece of cake.
Yes.
With their
a very
oven.
Surprising build from the doctors. They went into the baking
it was so
scene, and I liked it. I thought it was pretty well done. What did you guys think?
I love the spilled milk.
Mm-hmm.
That was my favorite part of theirs.
Yep,
that was
so
cute. Yeah.
Puddle right there. Yep.
The theming was very good. The builds were clever, like the mixing bowl that had the kind of whisk-shaped thing in it. I still want to see a little more from their techniques. I think their techniques could still stand to be a little more polished.
Yeah, it was definitely very functional versus like there wasn't a lot of tiles. There was a lot of exposed studs.
Yeah.
A little blocky, the dock block. Anyway, so but yeah, I think that they prioritized their motion correctly because at the end it goes through and then the oven opens up and that was the big finale and it worked and it had the cake and it was.
Yeah.
That's probably what Dominathan should have been more like. I think you hit it into the bottom of the temple, and then a big panel comes down, revealing the gem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So something like that would have absolutely sold Dominathan and made it much more successful. So they knew exactly what to do for the challenge, and I think they succeeded in all the things that they went out to do. Even if they could have been better looking, I think Dave and Emily's build was much more polished and finished. They had tiles, and it was all very detailed. Theirs was a little bit more clean and Spartan. It didn't have as much stuff, but.
Well, my thing with the oven, which I thought was a great fun idea, I just don't think it was executed the best. But the top, they just look like spiders on top of it. That's all I kept thinking is, why are there spiders? Oh, it's
Maybe I didn't look at it super closely. I actually thought the top looked pretty good.
Really?
Okay, I wasn't seeing burners as much as I wanted to, but I did like the oven door. You could see the cake.
The front was
black
great.
just kind of got muddled.
They had red lights in there. I think those were Lego lights in there.
Oh, okay.
So if I'm not mistaken, I have to watch it again. I was watching it on my phone this morning. So, but overall, I can totally see why they were chosen to win. They were definitely going for function over. Excuse me. They were definitely going for function over aesthetics.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Their story definitely helped them, and I think the fact that Will got a hole in one probably didn't hurt them either.
Yes. Yeah. And the cake. The cake had Will's name on it. So
exactly.
Yes.
They were catering to the right. Audience.
They were right.
For sure.
Yeah. Nope. Wait. Was that my last note on there? Yes. Okay. Emily and Liam, squirreling around. It took him 5 strokes to get.
Yeah.
It took Will 5 strokes to get the.
Yeah, that was a difficult one to get through. That's almost like the harder levels on a mini golf course is when they start doing these. Let it through the wrong side,
That was clever. The first door that flipped up, I'm not sure if there was supposed to be a power function or something there. It seemed like you just had to whack it really hard to get it under, which was kind of odd. It was maybe not a very good grand start.
Yeah, maybe a more loose doorway, not so stiff.
Yes.
And I think it was built out of 2x bricks. If it had been out of 1x or panels, it would have been
super
more lightweight that you could just sort of
or plates on a hinge versus I think they might have been using those black Technic pins with more grip.
Yeah.
So it's like maybe the wrong piece for maybe they wanted it to be too firm, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was linked to the squirrel's head too, because when he hit it, the head turned a little bit, so maybe that was adding resistance. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And their animals were great.
They were.
They were great.
They had these larger sculpted animals.
See them.
Yeah. Behind the fences.
That was
the fence was too big.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where's the Yeah.
So just in order to create their story, they ended up putting it behind a fence and kind of for function to get it up there, I think.
Yeah.
And it just it didn't not everything quite landed on this build, but I think they were still safe because the functionality worked. It just took a few extra hits. So, but interesting.
But that margin was so slim between the top and the bottom.
Yeah,
it was a very tight race.
If they had one or two things else go wrong, like one extra hit, could have put them in the bottom 2, maybe even put them in danger. If Dominathan's build had really landed, they might have been in danger. Yeah. So it's interesting.
All right, that was our last team.
Yeah, so running out of builds these days, there's less builds.
Yeah, these videos should be getting shorter.
All right. We can go into more detail on them all.
Yeah, we can talk about.
There's a lot to talk about.
They had exposed studs in the top of the squirrel's forehead.
The squirrel was actually really cute. That's like with the cats. They were just blah.
They were flat.
And it was flat, and it was like, and they weren't big, and you had this big
style.
blue, and and I'm sure if he had more time, they would have done great. But I go, it just was. Yeah, when you compare the two, it was like, that's
they definitely prioritized their time right, but maybe there were some decisions with the mobility and the function that was maybe holding them back a little.
Yeah. Okay, you want to do top 2 or bottom 2 first?
Let's go with positive first.
Positive
top
first,
2.
okay.
We'll follow the structure of the show.
Right, So our top 2, we have Dave and Emily, and Austin and Justin.
Yes, I think this was deserved. Being a Castle fan, could totally have seen the castle up there too. But what do you guys think?
I liked Dave and Emily's was actually my favorite this round.
I would say Dave and Emily should have won. I would bump Austin and Justin down, and I would even say that Steven and Steven probably should have been the other top 2 teams.
Wow, okay.
I do. The Castle was my second.
Now, knowing the judges and their judging style, I see why, because Austin and Justin's story was very good. I'm just a sucker for things like the Castle.
Yeah.
And they also had good functions and a good story, but that would have been my top 2.
I could have easily seen it that way as well. I'm kind of 50-50. I understand, but I see why it could have been the other way. So I guess I'm not as passionate about it as I used to be. I kind of just resigned to the judge's decision at this point. So. But overall, pretty good. I'm not angry with it. There's been other challenges where I'm like, I wish they would have won or something. And so I think this is
and the stakes weren't high. There wasn't a big grand prize or
jacket.
Golden
right,
brick.
the jacket.
Oh, that's true. Okay,
the
jacket
they
was
had to
funny.
share. Are you sad that you and Steven
I would have loved a jacket. I'm sad
we
we didn't get a jacket, but I think that Austin and Justin both work together. They'll be able to use the jacket, unlike some teams which live in other places now. So
I knew there was going to be something about the jacket when they kept talking about it but not showing it.
Yeah.
They kept calling it, because it was the Lego Mini Masters. Was that
Mini Masters,
I thought he was going to bring out a jacket and it was going to be like that big. Or like
I thought it was going to be made out of Lego. That's what I thought. So.
Yeah, but that was funny. The 2-person.
Yeah.
That was good.
All right.
Overall, not too bad.
No,
top
it was
2.
fine though. They did
minor qualms, not bad. So.
I agree. They were all so close.
Yeah.
It was not a huge. It was so. I agree with Daniel on that.
Not upset with it at all.
Yeah.
So.
Bottom 2. We had Nick and Stacy and Ethan and Dom.
Now, we got a little bit of discussion of this earlier when we were talking about the builds, but Nick and Stacy definitely struggle with time, at least according to the editing and their own admission in the interviews. But Ethan and Dom seem to have less worries until the very end when they tested it and it wasn't working so well.
Right.
So, what do you guys think?
I think Nick and Stacy should have gone home.
You would have put them home instead of Dom?
I would have put them home. I think Ethan, and it's hard because I feel like they've kind of been in the middle. And I go, whereas Ethan and Dom are super on it or it's super bad.
Yeah,
but
they're
when
volatile.
they're on it, they're really on it, and I would love to have seen more from them.
Yeah,
these are both teams I was hoping and expecting to be in the finals.
Yeah.
Especially early on in the season.
Yeah.
These were ones both teams I was expecting to go very far. And to see them both in the bottom 2, I really didn't want to see either of them go home. But everything in the episode seemed like it was leading to Nick and Stacy going home.
Yeah.
Which was a shock, but I think that's how they wanted it to be.
A little bit of a twist there with the editing, for sure. Because you're thinking, they're saying they're going to go home, the dramatic music, whenever they look at their build, it's not fitting, all this stuff. So, but I think that, in my opinion, with Lego, I prefer aesthetics over functionality. So I probably would have picked Ethan and Dom because they had a lot more work done on their pyramid temple. So that I would have voted more on that versus an extra hit getting through the thing that didn't work.
Yeah.
So, but that being said, I think that the judges were definitely leaning more towards, did you get a hole-in-one? Did your functions work perfectly? And so I think that they ended up picking Nick and Stacy for that reason. But yeah, pretty close. But I also probably would have sent Nick and Stacy home just on aesthetics because they ran out of time. That's a builder error. Not necessarily a functionality error. If the powered up motor doesn't work one time, there's not too much you could do. You can kind of build better, I guess. But if it doesn't look good, that means you didn't plan enough time for the look good. So So anyway,
I agree.
Interesting. Yeah, I think we're kind of like.
It was one of those episodes where it was a hard.
It was just an unfortunate
I'm sure that was a hard. Yeah, it was.
Two really good teams had an off week at the same time, and they ended up in the bottom 2, and so one of them had to go home. Which is unfortunate. I would have rather have seen this week be the week that nobody got sent home. Given how it turned out. But I think last week they did that because I think Dom and Ethan kind of forced their hand by choosing Brendan and Greg to receive the golden brick. I think that's why they didn't send anybody home last week. Maybe that's a grand conspiracy. I don't know.
The nobody goes home might be planned a while in advance, or it might be spur of the moment, like you said. I like that theory.
I love a good
We'll never
conspiracy.
know how they choose to do that.
The producer's ways are very mysterious.
Right?
So, But that was a good episode. Enjoyable, funny shenanigans.
Fun to watch.
Good builds. Close competition.
The hosts were hilarious. The puns were great.
Exactly. There wasn't quite as many puns as like the pirate episode. But it was definitely enjoyable. So, Anyway,
all right, next week. Sky High Castle.
We didn't even make any bogey jokes.
Oh.
It said bogey on the screen when they
I know,
like Liam and Emily.
I figured Will would be something talking about picking bogeys.
That does seem like one of his jokes, right?
Yep. Exactly. Oh man. Well, they avoided the bogey jokes, thankfully,
Yes.
but.
I love the 4
Bogey
hours
and
left.
Dookie.
Yeah.
Bogey and Dookie.
Him on that golf cart was just great.
He was having a great time running over his golf clubs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was hilarious.
Yes.
When he kept running into him and backing over and yeah.
No.
And he crashed in the back and said, "We're gonna need both doctors."
Yes.
And if anyone asks, Ethan was near it next
Yes.
or last.
I love how both the doctors at the same time were like,
Yeah.
Do we need to help?
They were ready to go.
Yeah. Okay, next week. So the Sky High Castle with the wrecking ball.
Another castle challenge, Mark.
Oh yeah. Well, the amount of castles in season 3 has been very good so far. I'm pretty happy with
That's
it.
true.
So.
That's true.
So I'm interested because I go, okay, you saw the tall castle. So is it tallest or is it breakability? I'm all, that's it.
I think it's going to be breakability because I saw a lot of them had like bright colors on the inside.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to kind of be like the explosion challenge from season 2 where you want to make the inside look cool as it explodes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But the tallest tower is safe.
Yeah. That reminds me of the cliffhanging challenge from episode 11 of my season where you're having to build out from the wall and the longest one gets to stay regardless of how it looks.
Right.
So
they do that to egg you into pushing your boundaries.
Yes.
In the event that you fail.
That'll break, So. But building a tall tower is much more safe than building off a wall. It's curious how the breaking factors into judging because it could be that how good it looks when it breaks, or are they going to start with a tennis ball and work their way up until it's this giant bowling ball and then it'll break it? Is it? We'll see.
I think it's aesthetics, not engineering.
Okay.
I think this is like some of the other ones where they have special effects and things where they blow things up. I think they have to incorporate color, or maybe there will be a thing like glitter or slime or something inside that has to look cool when it blows.
Ignite or something.
Yeah.
Interesting.
My question: are we going to see Will Arnett coming in on a wrecking ball?
With his shirt
off. Oh no, I don't want to see that.
Riding in.
That would be just a missed opportunity, wouldn't it?
No shirt, but he's got like the neon green like vest thing.
Yeah. Oh no.
Construction hat.
I came in like. Yeah.
Well, we are in the 9 o'clock slot now. I feel like
they could get away with it.
We can do it.
I don't know if the families watching it would enjoy it as much, but yeah.
Mine would laugh.
I did see him breaking something with a pipe or a baseball bat or something. So he's going to be smashing stuff for fun at least. So.
I love these. I love the smashing and the bricks flying.
I think that
not that people have to clean it up. Though.
No, that breaks my heart.
The general audience really loves the breaking challenges, so I'm glad to see one. But it doesn't.
It's good for TV.
I know for you.
I don't like it as much, but it's okay. I still enjoy the drama and the spectacle.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I know someone who does videos of throwing Lego sets into bins.
Anyway, that's all we have time for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. We sure appreciate it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We have a ton of great videos coming out soon. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. What's interesting, I think this is actually technically the 100th episode, but I'm going to put it at 99.5.
Okay.
So,
really?
Just so for everyone. Yeah, I think that for everyone, we'll see how that ends up on the YouTube channel, but I'm pretty sure we want episode 100 to be next week for Black Friday.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Right.
Wonderful.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Mark.
Cool.